She's been watching me my entire life. Posted from a white padded room. They call it an asylum. I call it where I'm waiting for her. I'm posting this here because maybe someone will believe me. Someone will understand. I can't sleep. I haven't slept properly in years. Maybe it's because her eyes won't leave my mind. Her green eyes. I first met Elise through my best friend Marcus. She laughed. Sunlight caught her eyes like emerald fire. I was captivated, but she didn't see me. She saw Marcus. They fell in love. They got engaged, and I smiled for them even as my heart broke. I shouldn't have done it, but I did. Hiking had always been our thing. I knew every ledge, every loose stone. One morning Marcus slipped, just a moment, just one push from me, and he fell. Gone, I held Elise afterward as she cried. I whispered, "I'm here." And she clung to me. I became everything she needed. We married soon after. A daughter followed. Her eyes, green like her mother's, I should have been happy. And at first, I was. But the honeymoon fades, even in stolen happiness. Elise became exhausting. The baby cried constantly. At 2 months, her wails pierced the night and my patience. One night, I snapped. Words turned to yelling, yelling to fighting. And then I saw it, realization in Elise's eyes. "You, Marcus!" She gasped, panic surged, I lunged, hands on her throat, and she went still. The baby stopped crying. She just stared. Green eyes, piercing, cold, judgmental. At first, I told myself it was impossible. She was only 2 months old. How could she know? How could she remember? Babies don't judge. Babies don't watch. I clung to that thought. I told myself I was imagining it, but she didn't cry. She didn't wail. She didn't even fuss. She only watched. I buried Elise that night, built an alibi, pretended normalcy, but nothing was normal. From that night onward, the baby never cried again. She simply watched. Her gaze followed me everywhere. Meals, playtime, sleep. As she grew, her judgment sharpened. Friends would laugh. She would pause, eyes locked on mine. Cold, unyielding, and then came the little things. Objects subtly shifted in her room, always pointing toward me when I entered. My reflection in mirrors seemed wrong. Shadows where there shouldn't be, movements out of sync. Sometimes I would swear she appeared in the hallway while I was upstairs. And then, moments later, she would already be in the kitchen, staring. She would hum songs Elise used to sing to her as a newborn, not softly, not like a child, almost intentionally. By 15, she didn't need words. Her stare communicated everything. I tried to convince myself again she couldn't possibly remember anything from when she was 2 months old. My denial crumbled with every look. I began to panic. I tried to tell people. She's trying to kill me, I whispered to my brother. They laughed. "You're imagining things." They said, "Help." That's when I realized nobody would ever believe me. Not really. One evening I tried to run, told neighbors, ranted about her eyes, what she knew, what she would do. The police came, they didn't see her. Didn't hear the weight of those green eyes. They only saw a man unraveling. I was committed. The asylum is white, padded, silent, but she comes every day without fail. Green eyes, sharp as ever. She doesn't speak. She doesn't smile. She doesn't cry. She just sits across from me, staring. And I cry. I cry because she is silent, patient, unrelenting. I cry because I realize she has been watching me my entire life. 2 months old, 15 years old, always watching, always judging. I will never escape her. Every day she reminds me of everything I've done. Every night I lie awake imagining her standing outside my bedroom door. Green eyes, unblinking, eternal. Does she know? How could she? She was only 2 months old when it happened. I told myself that for years, but I know now. She remembers. She always has. And the little things, the subtle reminders, they were her way of telling me she had always been watching. And she always will. I will never sleep again. She doesn't need to speak. I feel her gaze even now, and I know she will never forgive me. Submitted by /U or BobDac 7894 link comments. The camera only shows them at night. I didn't buy the camera. That's the first thing I need to make clear. It was already in my room when I got home from school last Thursday, sitting on my desk like it had always been there. Small, black, no brand name, just a smooth plastic body and a single lens that seemed a little too reflective. At first, I thought it was my dad's, but he swore he'd never seen it before. "Probably one of your friends messing with you," he said. "I don't have friends that come into my house when I'm not there." Still, I shrugged it off. I picked it up, turned it over in my hands. No buttons except one on top. No screen, no place to plug it in. Just that single button, so I pressed it. Nothing happened. No click, no flash, no sound, just silence. I set it back down and forgot about it. That night, I woke up at 2:13 a.m. I don't know why. There was no noise, no dream, just that sudden, sharp awareness like something had nudged me awake. My room was dark except for the faint glow of my phone charging on the nightstand and the camera. It was sitting on my desk, pointed directly at my bed. I stared at it for a while, my eyes adjusting to the dark. I told myself I must have left it that way earlier without realizing. That happens, right? You forget little things. Still, something about it made my chest feel tight. I got up, walked over, and turned it to face the wall. Then I went back to bed. The next morning, the camera was on my nightstand, right next to my phone. Facing me, I froze when I saw it. I knew I hadn't put it there. I don't sleepwalk. I don't even move much in my sleep. And even if I did, why would I move the camera closer? I picked it up slowly. The surface felt colder than it should have been. I almost didn't press the button again. But I did. This time, something happened. A soft click echoed through my room, quiet but unmistakable. And for just a second, barely even a blink, the lens flickered with a faint white glow. That was it. No picture, no sound afterward, just that click. Things got worse after that. Every night, I'd wake up around the same time, 2:13 a.m., and every time the camera was closer. First on the desk, then the nightstand, then the edge of my bed, always facing me, always silent. I stopped touching it after the second night. I didn't want to press the button again. I didn't want to know what it was doing. But on the fourth night, something changed. When I woke up, the camera wasn't just closer. It was on my chest, pointed directly at my face. I couldn't breathe. I just lay there staring at it, too scared to move. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. And then click. I hadn't touched it. I swear I hadn't, but the button depressed on its own. The lens flickered. And for that split second, I saw something in it. A reflection, not of me, of something standing behind me. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. Every instinct in my body was screaming at me not to move, not to look, not to acknowledge whatever was there. Slowly, carefully, I lifted the camera off my chest and held it up again, angling it so I could see the lens. Nothing, just my own terrified face staring back. I stayed awake until morning. I tried to get rid of it the next day. I threw it in the trash outside. When I got back home, it was on my desk again. I smashed it against the wall. No cracks. No damage. I even asked my dad to take it away. He said, "What camera?" It was right there in my hand. He couldn't see it. Last night was the worst. I woke up at 2:13 a.m. again. The camera was in my hands. I don't remember picking it up. My finger was already on the button, and before I could stop myself, click. This time, the reflection didn't disappear. It stayed, clearer than before. Something tall, too tall to fit in my room without bending. Its head tilted at an angle that didn't look natural. Its arms stretched longer than they should, almost reaching the floor. And it was close, right behind me, closer than it had ever been. I felt its breath on the back of my neck. I didn't sleep after that. I'm writing this now in the morning, trying to figure out what to do, because the camera is still here. It's sitting next to me as I type this, and every few minutes it clicks, on its own. I check the time. It's 2:12 p.m. right now, and I just realized something. The reflection doesn't only show up at night anymore. It's starting to appear in the daytime too, and each time the camera clicks it gets a little closer. If anyone knows what this thing is, or how to get rid of it, tell me, because I don't think I have many clicks left. Submitted by /u or impressivemu 8751 link comments. He was here before the building was built. My neighbor on the 14th floor has lived there since before the building was built. In Singapore, we don't talk about where the land came from. We make the necessary arrangements, pour the concrete, and live our lives in the space that remains. The block where I was born sits on what was once a Hokkien burial ground. The developers consulted a geomancer. They made offerings. They relocated what remains could be identified and cremated what could not. The rest, presumably, stayed. I first became aware of Uncle Lim when I was 7. He was already old, as though he had arrived at an advanced age and simply remained there. My mother would leave food outside his door during Chinese New Year. He would return the container washed and dry, sometimes with a small mandarin orange inside, never with a note. He knew our family's business without being told. Deaths, promotions, examinations passed. He would mention things in the corridor before anyone could have told him, with the mild acknowledgement of someone noting a change in weather. My mother had a category for people like him. She called them the ones who have been here longer than us. He spoke in a Hokkien dialect my grandmother used, and I cannot speak at all. His eyes were very dark and very still, not blank, but rather of someone who has stopped being startled by things. My grandmother told me once, near the end of her life, that Uncle Lim had been her neighbor when she was a girl. In the kampong, before the estate was built, I assumed she was confused. She was very old by then, and the names of the past had a way of collapsing into each other. I did not ask her to explain. None of this seemed strange to me for 25 years. The residents' petition was about lift maintenance. I went door to door on a Tuesday morning, collecting signatures. I took the stairs, all 14 floors, partly because I felt vaguely guilty about petitioning for lift repairs while using the lift, and partly because something made me want to arrive without announcing myself. I knocked on his unit. The door swung inward at the pressure of my knuckle, smoothly and without sound. I stepped inside to leave the form on the table. There was no table. There was nothing. The unit was empty in a way that felt geological, not recently vacated, as simply undisturbed. The walls had the pale, chalky look of surfaces that have never been repainted because they have never needed to be. I placed the petition form on the floor and left. The Housing Development Board, also known as HDB, officer checked their system twice. The unit on the 14th floor, vacant since October 1987. Pending allocation. No previous tenants on record after the building's initial occupancy period. The officer told me that 37 years was, she acknowledged, on the longer side. That evening I searched the National Archives for the kampong that once stood where our block now is. I found a partial census from 1979. The names were listed by household. On the third page near the bottom, a single-person household, one male, age 67. Occupation, retired. Surname, Lim. In 1979, the man called Lim would have been 67 years old. Uncle Lim does not look a day different from how he looked when I was 7. My mother died in 2018. In the weeks before, while she was still lucid, she mentioned Uncle Lim once. We were sitting in the hospital room and she was tired and not fully tracking the conversation. She said, without preamble, "Uncle Lim says you'll be fine, you know." I asked when she had spoken to him. She seemed confused by the question. "He was just here," she said. She had not left the hospital in 11 days. "I saw Uncle Lim in the corridor this morning. He was standing near the lift, hands folded at his waist, in his gray trousers and white shirt and leather sandals. He nodded when he saw me and asked after my mother in the Hokkien dialect I cannot speak but have come to understand. I told him she was well. She has been dead for 6 years, but it seemed rude not to answer. He nodded with the mild satisfaction of someone confirming information they already knew and pressed the button for the 14th floor. I watched the lift doors close. The display above the door counted upward. 10, 11, 12, 13. It did not show 14. It went straight to 15, the way it always has, the way every lift in this block has always behaved. I have lived here 32 years and I have never thought to wonder why. In Singapore, we don't talk about where the land came from. We make the necessary arrangements, pour the concrete, and live our lives in the space that remains. Some of the original residents, it seems, do the same, submitted by /u or Kelvin Wright's link comments.